Okay, I'm going to start our meeting at 6:02. You all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get someone to make a motion to accept the agenda, please?
I so move.
Thanks, Fernanda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Yeah.
Lauren.
Thank you. All right. All those in favor of the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Perfect. All right, we have an agenda. Communications with parents, citizens, and staff. Anyone like to talk to us tonight? No? Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Julie Delpy. I've listened to the last two board meetings, and once again, I was left feeling disheartened. So I have three things to talk about. First, Lester School. I love Lester School. Attending a small community school played an important role in my children's education and their success as adults. I also served as chair of the Lester School Board for several years, and I understand firsthand the challenges that declining enrollment and education funding present. That said, OVUHS created and adopted a school choice policy. Under that policy, when families applied, the district approved 30 students from the OCA district to attend Neshabie. Recently, however, comments by board members have suggested that families who are simply utilizing a district approved policy, are the reason Lester School may close. It was further implied that it is the responsibility of the Lester community to pressure these families not to exercise that choice in order to save our school. Respectfully, it is not the responsibility of the Lester community to manage enrollment outcomes when we have no authority over the policy or the approval process. It is the responsibility of this board to ensure that its policies do not create inequities among communities. That could include limiting the number of students allowed to transfer out and implementing a lottery if requests exceed allotted slots. If Lester School is being harmed, it's not by families following the rules, but by the policy itself. This is particularly troubling, given that we have repeatedly been told by the superintendent and board members that Lester School was not under consideration for closure. Yet we continue to hear statements suggesting otherwise. So I ask plainly, what is the truth? At the last meeting, the board chair stated that Lester's children will be attending schools elsewhere in the next few years. When did the board make this decision? Where is it documented? Are there minutes or recordings the public can review? And was a timeline formally agreed upon? Additionally, in my role as town clerk and treasurer, I would like to know when the town was contacted to discuss these plans and any transition process. That question is rhetorical because the town has not been contacted. Closing a school has a monumental impact on a town and requires significant planning and budgeting by the select board to assume responsibility for the school building. The select board has repeatedly requested OVUHS's plan for the Lester School building, and to date, no information has been provided. My next thing is the middle school model. Declining enrollment has been a consistent topic at your meetings and appears to be a significant concern moving forward. With that in mind, I have some questions regarding the proposed middle school model. Based on slides from your presentations, projected OV enrollment is 483 students, with a projected 6th grade class of 77 students for a total of 560 students, grades 6 through 12. The OV building previously accommodated over 800 students. Why is the existing building now unable to accommodate 560 students without an addition? Based on this middle school motion, the bond proposal in November would include two items. First, construction of a middle school addition with a reference cost of $50 million, which is what was discussed at the meeting, and several people mentioned that amount. Is the district truly considering spending $50 million to accommodate the addition of 77 more students? That is a cost of $649,351 per student for 77 students, or $89,286 per student for a total of 560 students. The second item is improvements to the current OV building with a cost discussed of approximately 20 million. There were a lot of numbers thrown out, but 20 seemed to be the sticker. Which are necessary maintenance items and which are discretionary enhancements? Why are critical maintenance improvements to the existing building being tied to the middle school addition in a single bond? If the bond fails, both fail. Education spending is at the forefront of public concern, and taxes are increasing at an unsustainable rate. Even though the redistricting committee did not produce a map, it is clear that the legislature must move forward with education spending reform. Given this volatile environment, is now the time to propose a bond exceeding $70 million to modify and expand a building that may ultimately be phased out by legislative action. And finally, communication. At a previous meeting, a comment was made about including school information in the Leicester Town Report. For context, the town and school previously published a combined town school report. When OVUHS began producing a separate school report, our town report continued to include reports from the Superintendent, Rutland Northeast Board, and the OVUU Board. RNESU later chose to discontinue providing those reports for inclusion in our town report. Thank you for your time.
Julia, can I have a copy of that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Does anybody else want one?
Thank you.
Anyone else? And go ahead, Diane.
I didn't know what she was going to say.
Sorry.
So I might sound like a repeat of hers. Diane Manware, Chair of the Select Board of the Town of Leicester. And yes, the future of education in general is high on our list of topics that we speak about, including last night at the Select Board meeting. We're trying to write the report that the Select Board includes in the town report. And I had, in my original draft, I had said, I was pretty blunt about what I thought was going to happen, and a couple of select board members felt that I perhaps would be painting too negative a picture, so we backed off, and I think our report is going to say something about the uncertainty of the future of education, general statement like that. But as the chair of the board, I have to echo Julie that we need to know sooner rather than later what the Otter Valley Union Unified Board plan is for the Leicester School. And if it is indeed to close it, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record because I said this in November. The families need to have strong communication, and their feelings and their thoughts need to be considered. And economy of scale, which I've heard several times in these meetings, I don't think fits in our situation, because economy of scale works if towns are closer together than they are in a rural place like Vermont. And I don't think that it's necessarily going to save money to move children from Leicester to Brandon, because you're going to have longer transportation time and probably more transportation money being expended. So I guess I'd have to say, show me the money. Show me where the money is going to be saved by doing that.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak to the board? Anyone online? Okay. I do have a couple Let's Talks that I want to let you all hear. Reach out, sorry. Let's Talk, that's an old term. My bad. Let me find the first one. Oops. All right. The first one is, I am concerned that the board is considering proposals that will include an increase of 4.8%. I understand that it is difficult to RIF teachers, but the rate that our property taxes have been increasing is not sustainable. It seems that the wishes of the staff have been prioritized over the wishes of the community. Over the past 4 years, we have seen our tax bills skyrocket. I want to support our schools, but there is a limit. In our household, we are paying 10% of our income to property taxes. We cannot pay more. As a board, you have made decisions that have a direct impact on the fact that it is becoming unaffordable to live in our district. RNESU currently has some of the highest teacher salaries in the county. The district office is overstaffed with positions that have questionable impact upon our students, and you have approved contracts with salaries that far outpace the rest of the county. 2 years ago, the budget went down multiple times, and last year it barely passed. This is your community sending you a message that based upon the latest article in the Rutland Herald you are not listening to. I cannot and will not support a budget that is higher than 3%. Elizabeth McReynolds. I did respond to that, essentially to say that we were not doing a 4.8% budget, that the RNESU budget was only being increased by 4.18% after we approved that budget, and that we were looking probably at a 3% potential. So, but that we took her words into consideration. And the last one came in today. It was anonymous, and it says, please consider keeping next year's 5 OCA 6th graders at OCA. These are not 5 students that would benefit from the transition to a bigger school. They will need the transitions that happen when they are 6th graders into 7th grade. I believe we can safely fit pre-K 3 and 4 along with K through 6 at OCA. It will involve 3 multi-age classrooms with possibly splitting the 3rd graders. So it could be a 5, 6, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, K, pre-K, 3, and 4. We can make it work if everyone is flexible. Give us the chance, please. Thank you for keeping us open and for your time. Remember children first. And I could not respond to that because it was anonymous. So we will move on at this point to the consent agenda. I do need to pull off item F. Can I get someone to make a motion?
Sure, I move that we accept the agenda minus item F.
I'd like to pull some, which one is F, by the way?
The tuition rates.
Which one is the transfer?
That's the choice numbers, high school choice. That's G. You want to pull G?
I'd like to pull G too, thank you.
Okay, so do you want to amend your,
Sure, I amend it to exclude F and G.
okay? Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Barbara. All those in favor of the consent agenda, A through E, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you for that. All right, we will start with item E. Can I get someone to make a motion to approve, or to approve item E 2026-2027 tuition rates?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Brenda, I think you're online. Can you give us the tuition rates that you were thinking should be on this?
Yes, thank you. So we have done an analysis of how much our tuition rates have been and how much our allowable or actual rates have been. And we would recommend a tuition rate next year of $24,000 for both elementary and 7 through 12. Do not have to set a preschool rate that's set by the state.
Okay, so all right, so 24,000 for K through 12.
Yeah,
and what's the current?
the current for elementary is 23,000, and for 7 through 12 is 26,500.
26,500?
I'm sorry. I said that. No, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. The current is 22,155 for the high school and 19,900 for elementary.
19,900.
900, yep. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. So, any discussion? Garrett?
Can you just briefly explain? Bring me up to speed.
Oh, as far as tuition rates are concerned? So tuition rates are one of those things that obviously if you're within the district, you don't have to pay. However, if someone from Middlebury wanted to send their kid to Brandon, they would have to pay a tuition rate of $24,000. Just like if you wanted to send your kid to Middlebury, you'd have to pay whatever their
I
tuition rate is.
assumed, but I didn't want to assume.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But thank you for asking the question. Okay. Any other questions?
How many students do we have paying tuition right now?
Oh, I don't know.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. Brenda, do you know?
I do. The biggest people or the biggest place we get tuition, really the only place we get tuition, is from Barstow. And every now and then we will receive a Rutland Town or Rochester student. This year we have neither of those. And next year we are projecting 3 Barstow students that currently exist. I'm not sure where the 8th graders, if there are any current 8th graders that might choose Otter Valley or 9th grade.
Does that answer your question? Okay. All right, any other questions? Okay. All of those that approve the tuition rate of $24,000 for K through 12, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that is approved. Next one is G, high school choice numbers. Can I get someone to make a motion, please? To accept? Can't talk about it until we have a motion.
I move we accept it.
Barbara, is there a second?
Sure.
Second.
Kevin White, okay. Okay, discussion.
Oh, I wanted this to be pulled just to have a discussion. I don't know what the traditional rates of outgoing and incoming students are. It seems a little high to me, and you know, based on what Brenda just said, and I think in the experience of the last decade or so, we tend to lose more kids through transfers than we get in. We've just had a very depressing first 10 minutes of the meeting where we've heard people object to proposed the tax increases they fear, and we've heard people pleading to keep a small school open. We're in a squeeze, and it seems like this should be part of the discussion, so that's why I asked it to be pulled.
Okay, so, is there a question about this? Because I think this is per state law.
Right.
That's what this is. This is not like we can say that we want only a 1% or a different percentage.
Oh, okay, we didn't know that.
Okay.
Once again, I have to wonder why we have to vote to approve state laws when the state's holding a gun to our heads. But other than that, I guess I don't have anything else to say.
Okay. Any other discussion regarding
No,
this?
I appreciate that you did that, Kevin, because I was wondering the same thing myself.
Thanks.
And 10% seemed like a lot. I didn't realize we couldn't change it.
It also does include Muslim, which is not state law, just.
So I think that's to prevent people just for coming in to attend Muslim.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, then all of those in favor of high school choice numbers, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, any abstentions? You're abstaining? Okay. Okay, 1 abstain. Okay, and 1 nay. Okay, thank you for that. We will move on. Monitoring report, it's in your packet, 2.1, treatment of students and parents and guardians. Can I get someone to make a motion to accept monitoring report 2.1?
Sure. So move.
Second.
Okay, so Fernanda and Barbara, discussion.
Let me get back on that page.
Okay,
Oh, no, that's the wrong page.
You said 2.1, right?
yes, yep.
So a lot of this particular treatment of students and parents has to do with privacy and collecting information from families, as well as utilizing that information. So you'll see within the first several interpretations talking about what we do as a school district to make sure that we don't, that we collect only the necessary information that we have for families, as well as doing our best to protect it, since that's the key role. We also make sure that if a parent or a student has They have a concern with the school district that we have information on how those things are addressed, whether it's through the chain of command or through any additional grievance procedures. And then we also put out surveys and send out newsletters to make sure that our families are aware of what's going on within the building, and then we're able to get feedback from them in order to provide the services that are needed. That's really about it.
Okay. Any questions, comments for Renee? Things you liked, things you didn't like? Surprises?
Many of the things that are referred to within the bullets are hyperlinked below on each of the rows.
Hearing none, all of those in favor of monitoring report 2.1, treatment of students and parents and guardians, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you for that. I am remiss because I forgot that tonight we do have a student representative joining us this evening. And so, first of all, I would like to welcome Braden Waldy. He is the senior class president, I believe, and he expressed interest in joining the board and helping us as we navigate the questions and things that we need to do here at the board. So, Braden, I would like to thank you very much for being here tonight. We're going to go around and just introduce the board members to you, and then maybe you could just say a couple things about yourself. Okay, we'll start over there.
I'm Garrett Hughes. I'm an at-large member from Whiting.
I'm Gabe McGuigan. I'm an at-large member from Brandon.
Lauren Thomas, I'm from Brandon.
Paul Lathrop, at-large from Pittsburgh.
Kevin Thornton from Brandon, nice seeing you.
I'm Kevin White from Pittsburgh.
Nice on Superintendent.
Lori Bertrand, Sudbury.
Fernanda Canales, Goshen.
Barbara Ebling, at-large from Brandon.
Everly Clerk.
All right.
And then up there, we're going to have Natalie go first.
Hi, I'm Natalie Steen. I'm from Brandon.
And then Leslie Bienvenue.
Hello, I'm Leslie Bienvenue, and I'm from Leicester.
And Rhiannon.
Hey there, I'm Rhiannon Banks Morgan, and I'm from Whiting.
And Brett.
Oh, man. I'm very sick, so I apologize. Brett Mullen from Pittsburgh.
All right. Did I miss any board members online? I don't think so. Okay. So, and you?
So, I've been class president for 2 years now, and I really like history and politics. Those are my two big things. And I thought that they needed board members, a true representative for it, and I'd been interested for maybe 3 or 4 years now in doing it, so I figured I might as well come and do whatever I'm needed to do.
Well, thank you. That's great.
And we will also be joined at later meetings with two other representatives from the Student Council, Sienna Torres, who is also a 12th grader, and Aiden Graham, who is our 10th grader. And so we'll be recruiting others to join us by the end of the year so that we have a continuation of a student council, student board reps going into next year. So thank you, Braden, for being here.
Thank you.
I have a question. Thanks for showing up. So you're involved with the school and all that. Senior, right? Do you feel that the numbers are prepared for college leaving this high school?
I think for the most part we are. I think a lot of that has to do with 11th grade. There were a few really helpful classes in 11th grade. But I think for the most part. Of course, you have some people who don't take things seriously and they don't end up doing well, but most of us, I'd say.
Okay. All right, and to the reason that we're really here tonight, fiscal year 27 Otter Valley proposed budget. We have a new draft. I'm going to turn it over to Brenda and Renee to go over it.
Okay, let me.
Thank you. Renee, do you want to kind of start and bring us to slide 7, or do you want me to?
Here, let me just see if I can get it projected, and then I'll figure that out. So,
Thanks.
We don't have that in our packet, correct?
No, it was not in the packet.
yeah, the
This
last
is hot
few
off
numbers,
the press.
hot off the presses. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and kick it off. Brenda, so we are still waiting on a few other pieces of information. And as soon as we have that information, we will be able to add it to our proposal. However, we do have some information that, based on meetings that we held in December, as well as some additional information that came in, I think, literally at the end of those meetings from the state. So, and to that extent, it's largely good news. And so we will talk a little bit about the RNESU assessments, how they've changed due to enrollment and due to the reallocations of positions. But we're still waiting on information from CTE, what those assessments are going to be from Stafford and from Hannaford. And then, we'll find out about pre-K when when we have enrollment in place. Although I would like to thank our team for putting together and actually opening pre-K enrollment already. So if you know of anybody out there who is looking to enroll for our pre-kindergarten program for next year, Debbie and Nancy, Alexis, and Shar have been able to put that together, and please fill that out as soon as possible so we know how many students are coming to us.
And
so
kindergarten can register at any time.
Yes, please, kindergarten, you can join us anytime. And we'll be putting, we actually have a dedicated pre-kindergarten and enrollment page that people can visit on our website.
Yeah, rnesu.org/pre-K.
Perfect. So these first few slides, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Brenda. This is what we presented at our last meeting. And so after these first few slides, you will see the new proposal. That's not mine. That's funny. Or is it? No, it's not mine. All right, Brenda. Well, she's not. She can't hear me.
Sorry, having technical difficulties.
Oh, that's no problem.
I'm back. So here's where we were last December, or December 2nd, just to kind of remind you. The draft was at 3.49%. As Renee said, we have updated information online on Rutland Northeast assessments that I'll go over in another slide or two. And we have updated numbers on line number 1. So the Rutland Northeast assessments that I'm going to share with you are based on a December 15th long-term weighted average ADM for the LTW ADM note here. We have an updated number that changes the numbers just slightly. So those will change just slightly as well. But when we started this budget, we used your parameters as our guide and came close. We came to the 3.49%. I'll tell you the quick notes now. We are at the 3% or just a smidgen under. But I wanted to let you know kind of where we've been and where we're at and how we compare to what the state is predicting. So just to remind you, what was included in that $28 million number is the salaries were adjusted based on our settled contracts and cost of living adjustments. We were excited that the health insurance premium increases was 7.4% this year versus 12.9 and 16.4 in the last couple of years. We adjusted facility lines and other supplies, utilities, et cetera, based on historical cost. and building in a factor for cost of living increase. We were able to reduce direct instruction supplies because of one-time costs for the new curriculum we rolled out this year. And then we adjusted the universal pre-K tuition, UPK tuitions, based on the change to increase our, to remove the borders that limited our students to our programs or one program within our district, two programs within our district. This budget does reflect the following staff changes. It does, based on enrollment, Lothrop is down approximately 20 students, and there is an attrition with the retirement. So this does have a reduction of one classroom teacher at Lothrop. Neshabie is no change from the current staff at Neshabie compared to our proposal for this budget. OCA, we at one point had 3 recommendations. We're down to only 2 recommendations for your consideration on OCA, which we'll talk about a little bit in a minute. And then Otter Valley Union Middle and High School is down 2 teachers. One is an attrition through a retirement notification in ELA, and one is social studies. We are projecting that enrollment of advancing students by grade at the high school is an inaccurate projection. So we have readjusted that in the slides later on to reflect maybe what has been happening historically and what has been trending. We are anticipating that the high school will be down 40 students this coming into 27. So the open items that the board still has on their docket is the Cavalry program, to move or not to move. We believe that that is the most efficient way to deliver services, as well as the safest way, and would recognize that that would save some funds. We have learned through Whiting with staff shortage the importance of having these programs within our buildings to meet child care licensing requirements, in addition to agency of education requirements. So the next question is Whiting, whether you decide to move the program to OCA at Leicester or not. You have a couple of options there. You could close the building and potentially return it to the Whiting community, saving approximately $25,000 to $30,000, depending on where you go with that. Or you could keep the building and rent it to ARK for the operational cost, less insurance, which is why I'm saying $25,000 to $30,000. And then, as you'll recall, when we looked at the future OCA enrollments, assigning the current staff to classes became a little bit challenging because the ratios became a little bit wonky just based on the class numbers. We have a very small future 6th grade of 5 students. Currently, we have a full-time teacher in that program, so that does not make sense. So we put out a couple of ideas. One is to keep the full staff as we currently have, and that is what is reflected in that $28 million above. Option 2, we all decided to ignore that, but the other option 3 is that you could move or consider moving the current 6th grade class, that small class of a future of 5 to Neshabie, and you could reduce one full-time equivalent classroom teacher. And then a couple of things just to let you know. We have scheduled, or Nancy Kay, our pre-K coordinator, and Debbie have scheduled childcare licensing to come and look at the buildings at both Lothrop and Leicester OCA to determine compatibility for space. So all of that did a couple of things. So It's important to know that the December 1st letter announced that they expected average tax rates to increase 12%. Our preliminary draft, our first draft one, did not reflect that. In our two biggest towns, Brandon and Pittsburgh, we see, as you can see here, after common level of appraisal, so on the bottom of this slide, this proposal would have had Brandon taxpayers increasing 7.69%, Pittsburgh 3.87%. Our smaller communities see different fluctuations, mostly because of their size. Goshen's size is so small that that anomaly is hard to explain, other than the fact that Goshen has recently been reappraised. So where they were once well underappraised, they are now slightly overappraised. They're at 147%. Sudbury, Leicester, and Whiting are seeing tax rates after common level of appraisal of 6.2 to 22%. Again, the reason why those are fluctuating has to do with the differences in common level of appraisals and the decreases from district to district. So, for example, Whiting saw the biggest decrease. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that the common level of appraisal in Whiting was 100.41, so almost perfect. And this year, it is 84%. So what that means is last year, if a house sold for $100,000, it was listed for $100,041. And this year, that same house, if it sold for $100,000, it was listed for $84,000. And so that's why we're seeing the Whiting tax rate going up 22%. A couple of things to note also on here is that, that the average net per pupil spending in the tax letter was expected to go up 6.8. We were at 5.9. So we are approximately 1% below the average anticipated spending. And the average per pupil spending, again, anticipated in the December 1st letter, was $14,892, and our projection was $14,374. So again, about $500 less than the state average, which means our tax rates aren't going up as high as that letter had predicted. And the next slide is where we are today. So the Rutland Northeast assessments were done, and in that first 28,997,000, we had put a placeholder. And what changed in Rutland Northeast is the pie shift. Barstow owns another percentage and a half, or 2% of the pie. So Otter Valley saw a nice shifting of approximately $154,000. That number will change a little bit, but it will not change much now. Literally, Barstow got 2 new kids in updated LTW ADM, and Otter Valley got 6. So that 0.5% change might still happen. So we are, with that Rutland Northeast assessment changes and the changes that were made in Rutland Northeast, that budget was adopted on December 15th, and it did was a reduction from the original November proposal. So we are currently sitting at $28,843,000, or 2.93%, but just a smidgen below the 3% target. A couple of items are still open that we will get, or I will hunt down between now and next week. The final assessments, I just need time to do. The vocational education, I was expecting to see those from the Agency of Education, and we're all kind of looking for them still. So I expect those anytime now, and those will automatically be updated into the Otter Valley budget. We do have placeholders in the budget, and we do have Stafford, which is our biggest center where most of our vocational students go in according to their budget. So the only change will be the minor change that might happen for the Hannaford students. And we usually do not have more than 0 to 5 of those students. So the change would again be quite small. We do believe that the board has some open items for consideration. The top two are, the preschool, Cavalry and lighting. And then some place marks for you. The question about whether you're interested in considering option 1 or option 3 on Otter Creek Academy is still open. If you were to choose option 1, again, it's in that 28.843, so that's no staffing changes. If you were to choose option 3, and if you were to choose the reduction of an elementary teacher, you could save $115,000, or you could decide not to. These are your choices. And at the last meeting, you asked for us to give you the cost of a high school teacher. The social studies position was being discussed, and that cost is $102,000. So a couple of information, just kind of to check your thoughts and your concepts. 1% of the budget is $290,000, and 1 cent on the budget is $175,000. So this is really the only slide that changed. We have behind it all of the other slides, including the class sizes, etc., just in case anyone had any questions.
Thank you, Brenda. Where do you guys want to start?
Can I just ask a clarifying question? Sure. So the board open items and then the 2.93, is the 2.93 without those board open items?
Yes.
Those would just be extra?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Hold on. The 115 of the elementary teacher is not in the budget?
No.
It is in so the 150, so if we were to look at option 1 for OCA, that is still in the budget.
So that is under the 2.93%.
Correct.
Right, but if we were to go with option 3,
Right,
you
gotcha.
could potentially cut an elementary teacher or reassign them.
Gotcha. But it is, I guess what I want to say is option 1 is still in the budget, so
Yes,
that.
option 1 is a 2.93.
So that 2.93 is still with option 1.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
And it still has Cavalry and Whiting open.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
But it does not have, it still has 2 FTEs taken from the high school.
Right.
One of them by attrition and one of them by cutting a position.
By cutting a position, yes.
So if we decided to not cut the position, then the budget would increase by the 102,000.
Approximately,
And would
yes.
put it to what as the percentage? Would it be 3 point? Not
Well,
quite
you
back
see
up
that
to
1
3
cent on the
point.
budget
Less
is
than a cent.
Right.
It's less than, yeah. So a couple things to think about here, and we haven't really talked about this yet, but things that the board really needs to determine is what we're doing with buildings. So that's important, Caverly, Lothrop, Whiting, Leicester. However, as far as teachers are concerned, that really is Renee's prerogative, talking with his administration. And so at the end of the day, really all we are going to do is approve a number. So if we approve 28,843,000, blah, 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 things could change between now and June that we not actually cut the high school teacher because something else has happened. But we do need to make the decisions about the buildings and their uses. Does that make sense? Yes, Paul.
I have a question about administration. How many positions are there that work for Renee?
There are 18 positions that are in the central office.
And all 18 are needed?
Yes.
Whose opinion? Because it sounds like the public wants that looked at.
We actually did cut those positions, but we can show you the slide.
And we
I
talked
believe
about
there's
how many
one.
of those are student-facing positions.
Right, and yes.
Some of those
So-
positions are student-facing positions. They're student support
Facing, okay.
positions.
So there are approximately 120 or so positions within the RNESU budget. 101 of those are student-facing positions. 19 or so are administrators or bookkeepers or coordinators or other people that that are not necessarily student-facing but serve the needs of the district. And for the RNESU budget that you'll see up there, the decrease in we went from 4.81 to 4.18. Both, we reduced both aspects of the centrally funded school-based positions and the centrally funded central office positions. Both are negatively affected this coming year.
And in the 18 is Brenda, Debbie, Brian, Renee.
It
So,
doesn't matter who they are to me. I'm just asking if there's.
well, I
someone-
just want you to realize who the,
I know.
Okay.
I'm just asking because it seems like the public is always coming to us about administration, how we can shave there instead of shaving teachers. So I asked her about the history teacher, Mr. Pointer.
Mm-hmm.
Kids enjoy it. We should not cut him. He's well-liked here. He's teaching a subject that I feel is important for the kids. I listened to him last meeting online, and sorry my intercom didn't work, and I wasn't invited back repeatedly, but that's okay. So when we look at teachers, as I'm doing more talking with faculty face-to-face, I do change my tune as a public person here representing my town and the kids. Do I believe in consolidation? I do, because we are in a hard place, but how do we get to that point that works for all of us? I don't want to see your school close, and I think these are the extremely hard choices that we have to make. But I feel like, this is my third budget coming in here, and it's always the same thing, over and over and over. It's kind of maddening if you sit here and you're quiet and you listen. I don't ever see any big change happen. I see the budget go up a lot. And that's why I asked you the question, because if you want us to invest this kind of money and get my vote for the budget, I want to make sure the kids that come out of the schools are prepared for the next stage of life, higher education. Because it doesn't look like the percentage that we see going off to college are in the numbers that we see. And
I hear from-
what level of college are you applying to? You know, that's a big difference. So, you know, having kids in the school, that's what I'm looking at if you want me to support this budget without not making the cuts that don't face the teachers to kids face to face.
So what I'm hearing you say is that we should actually design a budget that gets students into college and has them be successful in their future?
They should be prepped for that if they decide to go.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure make sure that, because, you know, that's our goal, right? And I also agree with you that we are nibbling around the edges. And what I would say to that is that now that we are utilizing data more to analyze what is taking place within our schools academically, the number of students that teachers see on a regular basis and serve on a regular basis, and, you know, same thing with discipline, same thing with kids going off to college, our test scores, things like that. We are attempting to really build a budget around that. And so we're not quite there yet, so we're still kind of nibbling around the edges to make sure that we are abiding by the board's wishes. But as we are able to better define from the board what the global ends actually mean to the community, we are going to be in a much better position to provide the structure that goes with the budget that is necessary. And so I think you're asking the right questions.
I'm just gonna keep going for a minute. So in like the middle school, they want us to vote on building a middle school. And you said the numbers, this place was built to hold how many kids? Was that in your thing?
I don't know what the number it's built for, but when I was here, there was like 800 students, and when my children were here, there were like 800 students.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's where, I don't know what the capacity of the building is, but, you know, we all fit. And I think at one point, when they had even more than that, they did split sessions.
Right.
So,
Okay. Thank
So,
you.
You know, shiny and new is real nice, right? We like shiny and new, it's attractive. But I'd rather have quality over something that's really nice, you know what I mean?
Quality building, quality.
So I'm gonna go back a few years, and this is something that's bothered me just as a person on the board. When COVID happened, right, how much money was funded to the school for us to do what we wanted to do with it? You wouldn't know it because you weren't here.
It wouldn't have been for what we wanted to do.
So it was millions of dollars, correct? How much facility work and that kind of stuff was actually used to upgrade this building that we're now chasing to fix today and trying to find money to do it and make this look nice?
That wasn't what that money necessarily was for. Now, I will tell you that we can. No, I'm just giving you the facts.
Sure.
Of that money, we did put in 3 of those trailers, one at OCA, one at Neshby, and one here. The rest of it all went to support staff. We brought in lots and lots of teachers. As you recall, 2 years ago, we cut a lot of positions because the money ran out. Yeah.
I think that's my point. So we spent the money, we have nothing to show for it right now. It seems like. Am I right?
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
What the money spent for support staff, what would we gain from that?
Well,
That would be something that we could.
During COVID. So the support staff was in order to be able to do remote teaching and all of the things that, how education changed in that moment. You needed different things that schools didn't have.
And as kids came back to school, having lost that traction, we had lots of people in the buildings to try and help them gain that traction back so that they weren't at such a loss as what they were, trying to figure out things in front of a Chromebook at home. We did the best we could at the time, Brett.
Been so long, I don't even know why I raised my hand.
Sorry, I can't see anything, so I apologize.
Yeah, I don't know what. Oh, let me go.
So I initially wanted to talk about facilities, but I before I get into that, I did want to echo one thing, which is, there was a lot of debate last year about the addition of a data position at central office. And I think, speaking for myself, one of the things that I was hoping to see was that we would, use that position to provide data to the board beyond just the numbers and cents, right? Because I think what we've talked about, and I think there's a lot of truth to it, is every year we look at the budget, we nickel and dime around the edges because we're afraid to make the big changes. And the end result is that we chip away at the quality of the education that we give to our children. And I know we always find ourselves in that same situation of nobody wants to lose a building and nobody wants to lose a teacher and nobody wants to lose money for art supplies. But at the end of the day, the result of keeping the status quo is the budget goes up more than what the community can support. So what I think is the right thing for us to do is to realize that every community is going to have to give up something, but I don't think we should do it piecemeal. I think we should keep everything status quo for next year with a commitment that when we do the budget a year from now, that we are willing to have honest and meaningful change with our facilities plan. I sat here at a meeting a few weeks ago and we talked about the middle school model. And we said, well, the middle school model doesn't necessarily mean that Lester has to close. I think that's a completely inaccurate statement. we already are faced of having many facilities, and yet we are afraid to take action because of the impact it'll have on our communities. So I am sitting here saying I think we should keep everything the same for next year and accept the fact that we have to make hard choices. And I think that's where we should proceed from here.
Okay, thanks. Kevin?
I want to address some of the things Paul said. First, this question about central office, which you are, in my experience, are absolutely right to say people talk to you about. Those are decisions made by the RNSU board. We can't do it. And people need to realize that. I sit on the RNSU board as well. Nobody comes to those meetings. If the public is upset about the numbers in central office or about the assessment that we pay to RNSU, they have to come to those meetings to make their voices heard. We can't, on OVUU, can do nothing about that. So there's a mistaken perception that this board is the school board. We have an unwieldy system where that is not the case. Another thing you raised was about our students' preparedness for college. I will say frankly that Otter Valley's graduates are not prepared to be competitive in a competitively admitted school such as UVM or a highly competitive school such as an Ivy. They are behind kids from wealthy suburbs because those kids get lots of advanced courses and lots of attention. And that means that there's a lot of money spent on those things. So we all feel this contrast between or this differing imperatives between saving the taxpayer money, you know, the people who say, I can't afford this anymore and so forth. We all feel it. We should all feel it. At the same time, if we say to ourselves, oh, our graduates are ready to compete with kids from prep schools or from famous public high schools with large budgets, the answer is no.
Last minute. Hey. So you have the people.
Sorry.
One of the reasons I sit on this board, the main reason I sit on this board, is because if you believe in public education in the sense that somewhere up in Goshen or out in Leicester, there's the next Abraham Lincoln, or there's a 5-year-old who should be a brain surgeon, we're obligated to give those kids those opportunities. And the process that you and Brett just described is failing to do that. On the other hand, people have to realize that things cost money. One of the reasons to fix the building is not just to fix the plumbing and so forth, it's to give children a sense of what they're doing is important, that they're appreciated. And we all know, you and I have had this discussion, that if you go down the street to Middlebury College and you see what the buildings look like and the millions that are spent on just making them look good, the reason for that is to make the people in it feel like they can do anything in the world and that they're important. We are failing to do that. So we have to make choices. I'm in favor of Ms. Delphi. I understand your concerns, but I think we fail kids unless we make them feel when walking into the building that they're at the center of the world. We're in a period where these issues are coming to a head nationally, you know, in the state, obviously, and you know, here we are at the little bitty school board, the lowest level of elected officials, and we're having to deal with this stuff. But we got to be honest. We can't say, oh, we're going to be excellent in all ways and we're going to cut the budget 5%. It's not going to happen. So that's all I want to say right now. Let's start there and figure it out as we go.
I like the honesty part.
Lauren.
So we are going down a high school math teacher. What are we doing with that position? Is that being attrition, or are we?
I don't think so. I think she's exiting, and there'll be a new one hired.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah, that would have been brought to our attention if we were. Natalie.
I had a few things to say, but first, I want to say that I do not think we are failing our kids. I have 2 kids in college right now, and they're doing fabulous with the education that they got at Otter Valley. And one of my kids is a special needs kid with autism. So I don't think we should fail or blame Otter Valley for any failures that kids have right now. We have a cultural problem. And we need to accept that we have a cultural problem, that some kids just don't want to go to college anymore. They're not focused. And so that leads to the structure of our teaching and the structure of our schools is not like it was 50 years ago, right? Kids went to school because they had to go to school. They knew they had to go to school. They followed everything that their teachers said, and they didn't disagree. Well, kids aren't like that anymore. They come into school, they disagree with their teachers. We also have different regulations and compliance things that we have to follow that are not the same as they were 50 years ago. We have to have so much space, and kids have to fit in a certain amount of space. So I hear what everybody is saying, but we have to start planning for 10 years down the road and not just kicking the can down the road and not changing anything, because we have to be forward thinking now. What do we need to do for the kids of this generation? And they're going to keep changing. You know, we have AI, we have all these other things that are happening. We have to really think ahead and stop saying, well, it used to be like this. We used to do things this way. That doesn't work anymore. With COVID, we had serious mental health issues with kids. So that's what we were using money for. We brought staff in for more counseling. So things change. We need to make sure that we're changing with the times. And I don't like the idea of just, well, let's just not do anything again for another year. I think we need to make some really hard choices. I don't love the idea of closing Caverly or the Whiting School, but I think it's a necessity. I think we need to do it. I think that our numbers are changing. We need to reassess where we're teaching our kids. I know it's convenient and people love their small schools, but we need to think bigger and what's best for the entire community, not just those small communities. I know it's hard to hear, but we've got to be forward thinking, and I don't agree with just doing the same thing again. I want to make the hard choices.
Thanks, Natalie. Anyone else? Brendan.
So, about the cultural issues and the reason kids aren't going to college, from whenever I'm talking to people, they say that it's because of the cost of college, more than anything else. And when I'm looking at college, that's what I look at too. I mean, there's colleges I really want to go to, but then I'd still be $100,000 in debt even if they gave me $200,000 a year. So a lot of kids now are deciding that rather than get into mass amounts of debt for the rest of their lives, they want to go to trade school or do something else where they can just get out into the world and start making money immediately when they're done. So I don't really know if it's a cultural problem or as a economic problem.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Braden.
Yeah.
You feel like you got something to say?
I'm just trying to figure out the decisions we need to make. And I'm just thinking about what's on the table, right? And there are 2 choices in my brain. And one is we asked for a budget that was no more than 3% increase, and that's what we got.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we can accept that and move on and see what the voters will say. We have 2 decisions that are tiny, that aren't going to impact the budget significantly, but that I wonder about their educational value. And I don't know, to be honest, whether or not these are supported by the communities or not. But the idea of moving Caverly or the Whiting preschool to Oka, the reasons that were given for that in regards to staffing and services that those kids could receive by being in those buildings, I feel are important to me. You know, I think those are good reasons. Financially, it's a drop in the bucket, and whether or not that makes enough of a difference. My understanding was that if the Whiting preschool kids moved to Oka, that Oka, nothing needed to change at Oka, that there was room to take them in. If what that means is that, no, now we're gonna have to bump some kids out of that building, then I would not support it. But I'm just saying, there was educational value in those decisions, and I could support that. Money-wise, not really. So.
Well, it's not always about saving money either.
That's what I mean. So I'm just trying to figure out where we are on those decisions. I don't want to touch or change right now the situation with Oka because so much is up in the air statewide.
Which situation?
The idea of moving, I guess, option 3. Just because it feels to me premature to start taking apart that community. Those kids have grown up in that school. There's significant things that happen in their final year there. I don't understand why we would take 5 kids and just move them to another community to be new kids in that school system, to have to go through all that change for that 1 year for that financial gain. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me. We need to think more broadly about the savings and the reasoning behind that. That to me does not seem educationally sound. So I guess that's my brain, right? I'm looking at that budget. I'm saying, you did what we asked you to do. You went under 3%. That's what we asked. So why start nitpicking at all the other decisions that were made? I feel like we just need to I'm looking at it through the educational lens.
Brett. Brett, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I think at surface level, I agree with what Fernanda is saying. I guess my frustration is, and I'll speak primarily to Caverly because I don't really know much of anything about the Whiting facility. But I do know that Caverly is a space that is special. And I get it. It's not much of a savings, but it feels a little bit like we would not have the appropriate amount of time in order to make whatever replaces Caverly to also be special. So I hear you. I feel like when we look at this, we need to have a much broader vision, and I accept that we need to make changes. But I do not agree that making this change now would set us up to be successful with whatever the new replacement to Caverly would be. And again, it's not much money. So I do not feel that there's any benefit to making an incremental change that would take away something that the community deems to be special and cherishes, and historically has been very vocal to save. So I'm not against the idea of moving the preschool to Lothrop in time. I just think we need to have a plan and an opportunity to make that a special environment for children also.
And that ability to kind of convince the community that where you're moving to is more special than what you had before. Like, I think that's, you want people to get on board with that and vote for it.
Equally special, right?
Right, yeah, equally special.
Yeah. Can I hear from you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stacey Carrington. I'm the principal at Lothrop. So one of the things, as Fernando brought up, it has become increasingly more difficult because we share staff. And so for students to get the services that sometimes they need, whether it's speech and language, special education, and just we have our integrated arts teachers going over so students can experience a little bit of music, a little bit of art. However, if they were able to come into Lothrop, they would have access to all of those things. And I think that's where Caverly is great. It's a wonderful place, but I want people to know that we're ready to welcome the pre-K whenever you decide that it's time. I just think that we're finding, as our staff, as you see, is decreasing every year, that it's harder for us to meet all of the needs at Caverly. It's very difficult for me to get to Caverly. I would be able to do that on a daily basis if they were in the building. Right now, it's really challenging to do, being the only administrator, trying to juggle all of those things. Same with our custodial staff. Like, you know, just even the safety of, in the winter, trying to get Lothrop ready and then go over and get Caverly ready. So those are the things that I think the day-to-day we see. You know, we would have to make some changes. We have to make some changes to the playground and what have you, but I feel that our staff is ready. I feel that the community, yes, for a while was really struggling with that, but I think people are realizing that their children would actually have more opportunities if they were in the building. And it's great to have them there and to have older mentors, and there are just a lot of things that we could offer them in the building. So just understanding that we are ready when you make that decision, and we will make it a wonderful opportunity for our pre-K students.
Thank you. Natalie.
I first want to say that I agree with Fernanda. The reason that I would like to move Caverly and move Whiting to Oak are the reasons that Fernanda said. And also, I appreciate what, I wasn't sure who was just speaking.
Stacy Farrington.
Stacy, I have confidence in our teachers and our staff that they will create a special experience for the kids wherever they are. So I'm not concerned about students moving to a different building and thinking that they won't have a special experience. I believe that they will have a special experience, and that we have people who work for us who will make sure that it's special and that we can do it in the amount of time that we have.
I mean, and I agree that, you know, that I totally have faith in the teachers to be able to do that as well. And I see all the points that Stacy's making. I think that communicating that to the community in a way that they'll accept, because of the history of, you know, Caverly being, and myself as a parent of kids that, you know, went through Caverly and kind of feeling like that special piece of it. And when you take that away, it's like you're taking away a part of that community's identity, right? So the community has to be prepared to let that go, and we need some kind of understanding of where the community is at in terms of being willing to let that go. Because we don't want to turn a yes vote into a no vote, right? You know, over something like that.
Yeah. So we do, just so you know, like, this conversation's been happening at Lothrop and Caverly, and so our pre-K parents are aware, and our pre-K parents also understand. Like, there have been times where they'll want their kids to come over and join us for things, and they can't, because transportation, that's a whole other thing. So I do think that, yes, for a very long time, people were really tied to the building, but from what I've seen since the time I've been there, it's shifted a little bit, and I think those pre-K parents have had those conversations in the last year or so. So, you know, just so you know that it's not.
I could be one of those curmudgeonly parents, though, that even though my kids aren't at Caverly anymore, like, I have a strong opinion about it. Oh, they should keep Caverly, you shouldn't get rid of it, even though, like, it doesn't matter to me anymore because my kids have far moved on from that. And, like, I can see it, like, as a school psychologist, I can understand the importance of having, you know, the children in the community with the rest of, you know, with the rest of Lothrop. Like, I get all of that. I just worry that there'll be people like me who don't have that layer of understanding, who will be just kind of like, no, we need to hold on to Caverly, and this is an issue that it's going to sway my vote. You know, that's all.
We are going to have that. We have to accept that we are going to have that, right? We will have people who don't like it because it doesn't feel right, but we also have to think about the safety and the security of our students. And to me, that is far more important than, you know, somebody having a special feeling of way back when. I'm thinking about the students and their education and their safety and security.
Brett?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to lower my hand.
Okay, fair enough. I will say that in years past, Kevin, when we've talked about Caverly closing, we have been met with many people in these seats right here, very belligerent about keeping it open. And I think Stacy is correct when she says that the community is starting to come around to it. Not that they, are loving the idea, but that they realize that something has to shift at some point.
Right. And I think the other piece too is that it's not closing, certainly not for a year. The other piece that I would like to, throw out there, and we haven't talked about it yet, but it's this idea that it can become a classroom in the woods, so that not just pre-K has access to it, but every classroom could have access to it. And so if there's a science unit that you wanted to utilize it for, you could take your classroom there for the day, and you're in the woods, and now those students who were there for pre-K get to experience it again. So it's not just, it's not going to be disused, it's going to be available for everybody at Lothrop.
Or even the high school.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Brett raised his hand
Brett
again.
raised his hand now. Okay.
So Renee, I appreciate you saying that, and it's easy to say, but what assurance would the community have that the district is actually committed to keeping that classroom as a viable option?
We can start planning on it, I can tell you right now, we're not going to do anything with it because the board has to be the one who says we're no longer using it. So until that happens, it still belongs to the school district. And then on top of that, it would just be something that Stacy and her teachers would design how they think they could go about using it on a monthly, weekly basis, so that way people have access to it. So because it's a marvelous space, and all of the students from Lothrop can benefit from it, and even from other schools within our district.
And just thinking Four Winds, we go to the rec a lot for Four Winds and things like that. So teachers do utilize spaces. They go to, the Village Farm. So we do utilize other spaces in the community. So that could be something that we could also add into the mix of what our students could have opportunities to do.
So would it be fair to say then that there will be a savings of $0 then?
Yeah, if you keep the building, you're not saving.
That's not entirely true.
Well, you don't have to.
If we have to maintain it as a classroom, then that means we have to heat it, we have to plow, we have to cut the grass.
Yes, minimum
So-
stuff.
What is
Okay,
within
so
Well, you don't,
there
you
might
don't
be a
have to
slight
keep
savings.
it. Well, the only thing is that you don't have to heat it to, 72 or whatever for
For
kids.
the way
you could have it at minimum heat.
But again, remember, we said that the savings are minimal in comparison
weren't really
to
looking
the
at that,
educational
right.
gain.
Yeah.
Right?
And then on top of that, so whatever the mileage is, or even just the time that teachers and the nurse and the principal and the driving back and forth in order to deliver services, I'm not sure if that's located within that $25,000, but it's there will be a savings there, plus just the integration of the students being able to be around their siblings, to be able to be around other students, so that they have access to the services at the drop of a hat. Plus, it will really help us with our ability to abide by the pre-K guidelines set by the state.
I'm not really familiar with the building or anything, but I've heard the word safety a lot in related to the classroom there. And I just think that we should keep in mind that that's paramount, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the risks are. I guess it's just being
that they're out in the woods by themselves. We'd love to think that Vermont can't be touched by anything, but as we all know, it can. So.
I mean, it is located directly behind the Pittsford Police Station, so.
Although but they're not there necessarily.
But, and the other thing is also that I think when we talk about safety, we talk about the fact that there's a minimal staffing, you know, and so therefore when somebody's sick, or it just puts things in a different place.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this back. We don't need to make a decision tonight. We do need to make decisions by next week. We've talked a lot about Caverly. I think we need to talk a little bit more about Whiting while we're here tonight so that we can move closer to a decision. Doesn't mean that we have to make a decision tonight about that either.
Well, let's put it in motion form. I move that we close Whiting and send the children to OCA.
Are you going to do that with Caverly too?
One at a time.
We've just discussed Caverly.
I know, we just discussed Caverly, so I'm
Somebody else
not really
wants to make a
sure.
motion, go ahead. Or
You know.
This one hasn't been seconded yet, so.
That's true. Is there a second?
What was the motion? Caverly or Whiting?
Whiting.
Whiting. Okay.
All right.
It's
One,
in order to get to discussion,
Two,
right?
three. All right, I'm not hearing a second.
You got a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. Okay. All right, so discussion.
So I guess the question I have is the impact of moving that program to OCA. Is there space currently without moving
So
children?
we walked it today, but I'll turn it over to
Right.
Tina Roach to discuss.
Hi, I'm Tina Roach. I'm the principal at Whiting and Leicester. There's been lots of conversations since we had the community forums about the idea of moving Whiting to Leicester. It can happen. We need to find which classroom on our campus that can accommodate the state regulations for pre-K. There are about 3-ish options of what classrooms we can shift our students to. We could celebrate, we have a student coming into grade 5 that just moved into town, which will increase our numbers again. It can happen. And with looking at the numbers that I had projected earlier in the year for next year, because we're always trying to look ahead, the idea that the staff had discussed was that the combined, there would be 2 multi-ages. Right now, there's a conversation, is the first multi-age going to be a combined 1-2, which would be 15 students in a classroom, or would the combo be a 2-3, which would be 19 students? The other one that I had already decided that would be the best fit would be a combined 5-6, which with the incoming new student would put our classroom at 5-6 at 17 students. So based on conversation with staff, we can make it happen by bringing Whiting. It'll be a little tight. We'll have to be creative about some office spaces for some support staff. I echo exactly what Stacy says, that from Whiting to Leicester and vice versa, it's 12 to 15 minutes. When Callie, our nurse, has to go because someone has fallen off the play structure, it's 12 to 15 minutes. It's 12 to 15 minutes there, it's 12 to 15 minutes back. Subs are a big problem in our district. There are no subs, so finding people to cover, it'd be easier just to have us all in one space, also for safety reasons. If something happens, it's 12 to 15 minutes for me to get there. It's X amount of minutes for state police to get there, or whoever is patrolling. It can happen. I'm going to tell you, for my own peace of mind as a building principal, it is hard to manage a building that's 12 to 15 minutes away. It's very difficult. It has been done. It's not ideal. It'd be great, because I would love to. As a previous itinerant teacher, I taught at 3 small schools, and I taught pre-K through 6th grade at one time in my career. Our students at Whiting don't get art, music, PE, and I, as the itinerant teacher, would teach pre-K, and it opened their eyes. It would just be nice to be able to offer our students at Whiting their services such as speech or OT services, and then we're all housed in one place. It'll actually allow our staff to service more students as well as not having to commute 15, 20 minutes both ways. So I believe with some creativity, we can make it work. It'll be tight. Staff will have to be creative and flexible to make it happen. It'd be a peace of mind not having to worry about something 12 to 15 minutes away. I would also like to just put out to the board that with the combo of that 5-6, I would really love it if we didn't move our sixth graders for next year to Neshobe. I would really love it if they could finish their career at OCA, and obviously some things are going to change as the state decides what we're going to do with education. But if I was to do a 5-6 combo, that would leave us at 17 kids with that. So I would ask your consideration to not move those sixth graders and to leave it as 2 multi-age, and they can figure out the middle pieces and be creative. So that's kind of like the little update that we have. Renee came today. We checked out some options for spaces. Mike, our custodian, is actually going to do our square footage of 3 spaces, so when licensing comes, we can present a number of what can fit our pre-K students at the maximum number and see what they say, what space would be best. And then as a staff, we would discuss where we would shift everybody else around.
So if I'm like a firmly entrenched in option 1 for OCA, moving the Whiting kids to OCA would not impact that.
Right.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Right.
We would just basically move Whiting and their staff and plop them at Leicester and leave Leicester staff the way it is. We could be creative and we can make it work.
And then would ARC be interested in renting the building to continue it, or would it be returned to Whiting? What would happen to that building?
So as I said at last meeting, because it is January and because we don't know, to give us time to make sure that that would work for ARC, because like she said, it would be tight. I indicated that we should let ARC stay there for a year, as it said somewhere, where they would pay all of the cost of being in the building, except for property insurance and big maintenance stuff. Clogs things they'd have to take care of. And that they also indicated, ARC indicated that they would be willing to pick up any pre-K kids from Leicester and bring them back to their program.
So that they could have the continued.
So that they could have the
That
continued.
would be
Yeah.
awesome. That is awesome.
So it's a big boon.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Debbie, did you have something to say?
So Lori, just to, I, being the previous principal at Lothrop, love Caverly without question. And for a lot of years, I remember we just crossed our fingers that the special educators did not have to go service students at Caverly simply because of the travel time. And we were able as a district to have an SLP, for example, that would service sort of our small centers and our off-site programs. We're no longer in that place. We're now in a place where, I don't know how often Susan goes. Daily?
Pretty
Almost,
close.
yeah.
She goes here
So you have to count, we could serve more students or give more time if somebody did not have to travel to those other buildings. That's for me, that's a big shift, that we're just in a different place now. So
we are servicing more pre-K students than we have, I think, in the past. And I think that's where even, our people that are servicing, they're split between the buildings. And so you're losing time, time that can be spent with students. And I think that that's an important thing too.
Okay. Brett?
I guess, just for clarity, can someone tell me what the motion was?
The motion was to move the Whiting kids to OCA Leicester.
We're doing it one at a time.
Yep.
Because what I was going to say is neither one of these actions were warned, so I feel like it would be smart for us to rescind the motion and then maybe bring it up at the next meeting after it was on the agenda.
Well, wait a minute. Before you go there, these have been discussed at every board meeting. We've talked about this starting well before our December 2nd, where we actually saw the budget. So if we were to make the motion, I think that people are well aware that these are discussions that we are having.
It was presented as part of.
I agree. People know that these are discussions that we are having. However, the only place that it makes mention that we needed to take action is in this budget draft that we did not see until tonight. So I hear you. I just think if we want to avoid the public backlash, it would be transparent. Just shelve a vote until next week.
It's up to you.
We're getting a little lesson here about why Congress fails. That we talk about making the hard decisions and the tough decisions, and then when it comes to a minor decision, we're afraid of it.
It's not a minor decision. And I think it is, there's a good point that it should be warned.
Absolutely.
And be able to give, it's a change of programming.
I'm not withdrawing the motion.
I agree.
You agree what?
To us warning this issue and allowing the opportunity for the public to speak on it.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure what you were agreeing to.
Okay.
Okay.
We've followed Robert's rules, though, right? I mean, nothing here is new.
No, nothing is new. These were all the same things we've been talking about since December.
Since December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Early
all we've
December.
said is that we had to make a final decision by the third week of January. So, but it didn't say that we couldn't make decisions in between.
Right, so we are following the rule of law.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would, yes. Gabe.
Just on the discussion about the schools, some of the things that I've taken away is as you mentioned and brought up, these are small numbers. The 25,000 is not a big number in either direction. And so it's clearly more a programmatical decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so this decision is being made by us with the student's best outcome in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like there's a lot of support benefits from these consolidations or from this transition, however we want to title that. And I'm seeing the sort of the data that another member here mentioned, the value of data. I noticed that Lothrop is seeing, in this presentation here, Lothrop is expected to see a 20 student drop, and OV is seeing a 40 student drop over upcoming. So these are all very sort of steps that are clearly on the horizon. And other members have mentioned how we need to look forward, we need to make these sort of bigger decisions. I also fear, Kevin touched on this a little bit, is the no vote, a yes to a no vote. And so if we're trying to save, if there's a voter out there who's saying, well, you're closing the school, so I'm saying no over the 25,000, that's who we would be sort of catering to get that, to maintain that vote, to keep the overall budget going. I don't think anybody wants to see a budget fail for the entire district because of a negligible financial line item. But what we really need to address is presenting this in a way that it's a programmatical benefit to the kids. And I 1,000% appreciate the discomfort of things. I recently we took a trip down to Florida over winter break, and I drove past my grandparents' old house, which I hadn't seen in 25 years. It was just for fun. It was totally different, and it was really shocking. But that doesn't change that it's better that I'm not there anymore, that my life has progressed beyond when my grandparents lived there. It just makes it hard to see that place, to see, wow, it's totally different. The people changed the color, they put up a gate, whatever it is. So losing the school that you went to, or that whoever went to, it has a huge impact on emotions. Now, when I take that concept and I think about the discussions and the folks who have come in to fight for their school, fight for the smaller school, OCA, all of these folks came in, it seems that the parents are the ones who are most concerned about the effect on their children. So I'm going back around to the effect on the kids when they actually move. And so they transition from Whiting to OCA or Caverly to Lothrop, the parents are going to be more strongly impacted than the kids. The kids adapt. The kids get the same services they get, if not more, and more rapid access to it. So those are the pieces that I'm taking away from this. And when I vote for one of these pieces, it's based on that, because clearly we're not saving any money. But this is a Band-Aid that I think needs to be pulled. I think that at the root of everybody's argument that they're making here, other than the parents who are sort of deeply emotionally affected, with respect, of course, that's the biggest impact. And when I think about that, the impact there is going to be their vote on the overall budget. And I think that pool of people is relatively small and can absorb this emotional impact if they can just briefly see, and it sounds like from the principals, that they've been working and communicating with the with the satellites to prepare them for this. So I think from everybody's presentations and what I'm hearing and the data that I'm seeing and the programmatical values and the trending and the future proofing and all this stuff, it's where we're headed. And I think it's something that I am currently leaning towards supporting both of those shifts that are stated here.
It sounds like what we're talking about is moving the pre-K from Caverly to Lothrop and not necessarily
Well,
closing
specifically on Kevin's motion. It's
so
Whiting.
let's stick to the
Well,
motion.
Whiting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's stick to the motion,
I was kind
please.
of covering both in that,
Right,
but
right,
it was
right, yeah.
specifically
Yeah.
on the Whiting.
Natalie.
So with regard to voting on these things tonight, I would think that we would want to vote on them so that, don't we need to vote on the budget next week, or do we have to vote on the budget the week after?
We have
So
to.
we want to have the budget we want next week. And so we should tell Brenda and everyone what we want, what we expect to see in this budget, and that would include these items. Is that correct?
So, to answer your question, we have to vote on the budget by January 20th. So,
Okay.
yes, so we do have 2 more weeks. However, just for information, usually we do vote a budget in by the special meeting that we have on the 2nd for next week. Because we usually have all of our information by then. So, going back
So
to
in that respect, it would be nice to have some clarity on these items.
Yes.
Okay.
So, going back to Kevin's motion, is there any additional discussion regarding the Whiting pre-K move to OCA? Did you also say that you wanted OCA 6th grade to stay there? Or did you only talk about pre-K? All right. I just wanted to verify. Okay.
Logistically, I'm just going to bring one thing up. We had that as an option on the budget, right? So the idea was that it was an option on the budget, but the actual move, does that have to be approved by us, or is that a programmatic decision? By
So
the
we're talking about the
superintendent?
building, and then what happens, so we're saying that the.
So it is our responsibility to make that decision to move the Whiting
Mhm.
students to.
So we're
Yeah,
directing
Because
Renee
it's a
to do
change
that.
to the use of the building.
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly it.
I just wanted to.
Yep, so
be
as far as the
absolutely clear.
programmatic, whatever happens in preschool or pre-K, whatever, that is Renee's decision, anything like that. We're just talking about the use of the building.
And then we'll follow up what we're doing with the building in another motion.
And in another meeting, it doesn't necessarily have to
Be tonight.
be tonight or be even, by June. I mean, we need to make a decision. I mean, I would say that if we're gonna move the pre-K from Whiting to Leicester, that it would make sense to just let ARC stay there for this coming year. But that's just my opinion. You guys can all. It's not going to cost you anything to let them use the building if they're going to
Well, and it gives
incur all
us
of the
flexibility as
expenses.
a board to say,
Right. So, but I'm at, so that's a question for all of you. But I would think it would make sense.
I would like to, I would like to remind everybody of all the issues that we had with the staffing at Whiting.
Mhm.
That was, it reached a pretty critical point.
Yes.
When I first started on the board, so just before we vote on Kevin's proposal.
Okay.
Natalie has her hand raised.
Natalie.
And so does Brett.
Oh, yep. Okay.
I'm sorry, Brett.
No, it's just Brett. I don't mean just Brett. I mean,
Yeah, I heard. I
Okay.
heard what you said.
Yeah, okay.
That's all right.
You know I love
So, just to clarify, ARC would be a UPK program?
No.
Or would,
No, they would not be a UPK program. They would just be a daycare.
Because isn't one of the really nice benefits of ARC and Whiting is that parents can use both programs?
But that's
get
what
the
they just,
equivalent?
yeah, ARC said that they would pick up the kids from Whiting and take them back to the program.
Right.
From
Okay.
Leicester.
Yeah, so
Take
they
them back to
they would still have continuity.
So they can provide transportation.
That's correct.
But we cannot.
Right.
Don't want to.
Okay.
Right. We do not transport pre-K kids, but they do have that ability since they have a van at their discretion that they
Okay.
own.
Okay, that's it.
Okay? All right. Other questions about Whiting pre-K? Yep.
It's very quick about just a process here is, so, and it's building off of yours. It just created a lack of clarity in my mind, and I apologize to everybody for this. On Kevin's motion, are we voting to make this decision or to make this happen? Or are we voting to say, Renee, we think this should happen, and then Renee is the mechanism that makes it happen?
So essentially, you are making the decision that the pre-K will move to Leicester.
And
The
then-
pre-K program administration and all that is Renee's.
Make sure
Right.
that
Working with our.
You got it.
Which you sort of already did a dry run. You've explored that.
Mhm.
I'm with you. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Leslie did, oh, no, Brett?
Yes. I wanted to make a statement, if I could, or ask a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I was reading under Act 73 this afternoon, the new one that's been presented by the legislature, that it has listed that 3 meetings minimum must be set up before we make a decision to close a school.
We're not closing a school. We are just moving a
Okay,
program.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yep.
That I recognize that was a requirement, depending on how far we go with everything.
Right, no, we are not closing a school. We are just moving a program.
All right.
Brett?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lori, you might be the only one that can answer this, but
Why? Because I'm the dinosaur on the board?
Rude.
well, I am just Brett, so.
Okay, that's true. You are. All right.
Touche.
Anyway, a long time ago, before I was on the board, there was an action taken and a vote taken, I believe, to close Caverly.
Yep.
And one of the distinct memories that I have was that there was a complaint filed because we're warned ahead of time. So I want to clarify my earlier statement to say that I don't see any benefit in rushing to vote tonight on something that we could easily vote on next week. It has almost no impact on the budget. And every single week, people come in and talk about our lack of transparency, which I don't agree with, but people come in and say it, right? And perception is reality. I think that's an unfortunate fact of life. So I just want to clarify my earlier statement that I don't think that we need to rush by 7 days in order to make a decision tonight.
Well, so the only motion on the board is Whiting, so I don't know if that changes your mind on this or not.
The other
It does not. What's right is right. And I so
No, wait a minute. Let him finish. Go ahead.
So can you clarify? Am I remembering that correctly with Caverly last time?
I don't actually remember, to be completely honest, how that went. I just remember that there might have been a vote, but it never actually came to fruition because there was immense opposition. Thank you. That's a great word. There was immense opposition. So even if there had been a vote, the board was not willing to take that action.
And can I ask, if we're not closing Caverly, is it a different decision to move the Caverly preschool to Lothrop than it is to move the Whiting program to Leicester?
No, because they're both programs. We're not closing a school.
So then that's the same thing stands. We're not closing Caverly.
No.
We're
And
moving the
Caverly is not
preschool
necessarily a school. It is a program. If we were closing the school, that would be Lothrop.
Okay.
Because Caverly is part of Lothrop.
To follow up on Brett, and if we go through this vote tonight, we don't postpone it a week, it is determined that there is some governance issue with having done that, or people disagree next week.
I mean, I could
an
put it
opposite
on-
motion could be made.
Sure.
Or a correction could be made that would resolve. There's a mechanism in place to resolve if there was a contention to the process.
If something came up about it, we
Legitimate
could always
contention.
put it on as, we could actually warn could have a particular item underneath the proposed budget about that for next week as a precaution. But again, I don't
tend
see it.
to agree that we should proceed, that we can proceed, we can make the.
I think we
and-
can.
And I choose to follow that understanding.
Okay.
And proceed that way, but I was mentioning that where I think that there are mechanisms in place where if a board makes an error,
we can fix it.
it can be fixed.
And I can talk to Dina, our lawyer, about it in between, but I think that this is an okay thing.
And I think in Natalie's comment vein, I think it is important to keep this to give the guidance in this budget process to say, at least, this is where the board is sending the process, because that was clearly presented as part of this budget process, which we are in. So I think it's reasonable for the board to say, this is where we think we should be going.
Yep.
And I like that we're doing it in sort of a slightly more meaningful way than just with Kevin's motion to say we're actually stepping that way. We're not just saying, well, sure, go down this road, guys.
Okay. Thank you.
So.
My last word. I'm conflicted on the vote, but I also don't want to not vote and not give the school what it wants. So I'm just going to state that.
Okay.
I'm of the opinion that we should be warning, but I don't want to vote nay because I don't want to turn down a good decision. Just FYI.
Okay. Any other?
Yeah, I'll just throw my 2 cents in.
Sure.
I was here for the Caverly vote way back when.
Okay.
And it's uncomfortable when people in the community feel that we haven't let them know a thing ahead of time. Yes, we've been talking about it, but it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to have it come to a vote and be warned on the agenda. And we know this because people ask us about it. They say, was this warned? So when they're looking to see, was it on the agenda? I think, my opinion is we should wait till next week and warn it as part of next week's agenda so that there aren't those complaints and we don't have to do damage control and we don't have to say, oh gosh, well, we, this, that, and the other thing. I think I'm actually likely to vote for it, but not tonight because I think it should be known to that community particularly that it's on the agenda to be voted on.
Okay.
I agree with that.
I agree.
Kevin Thornton, you do not want to take back your...
The labor of Sisyphus begins with a single nudge.
No, I'm just saying you don't want to take it back, right? So then we have to vote. So you do what you want with your vote tonight as you will. And if it is the will of the board that I bring it back as a warrant item next week, I will.
And can I
Okay.
ask, it has to be 2/3 of us? How many votes do you need to?
You just need to have 7 of the 13.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion before we vote?
Yeah, I'd like to say that, before Brett gets too upset, that, would you warn a vote on Calverley next?
Oh,
week?
yeah, no, it'd be all of them.
Okay.
You know, it would. I guess I'm just gonna have to put every single thing that we're thinking about crapping, doing something with on there. So, yes. Okay.
Brenda has her hand raised.
Who?
Or she had her hand raised and then she took it down.
Okay, maybe she was just thinking the same thing. All right, so all of those in favor of moving the Whiting preschool program to Leicester for next year, per Kevin's request, please signify by saying aye and raise your hands. 2,
Aye.
3, 4, 5. I have 5.
Natalie, is that a
Who do you
check
have?
mark?
6. Oh, now, okay, so that's 6. 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. All right. Raise your hands high. Leslie, you were a yes.
7.
Yeah, I'm a yes, that's
All right,
correct.
so I got 2 online saying yes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I know.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, so that's 7. All those opposed? 1, 2. Who's any no? Okay, so 2 opposed. Abstaining?
Me.
Yeah, abstaining.
2 abstaining. Is that
Yes.
12?
3 abstaining? Wait.
3 abstaining.
3.
No. I
4.
voted to
Oh.
move it.
What?
I
You voted yes.
to move it.
Oh, yeah, that's
So
what I thought. Okay,
Rhiannon
that was
is 3.
all right. Jeez. Sorry. So there's 3 abstentions.
I got 7 yes, 2 no's, 2 abstain.
3 abstain. There's 3
There was
abstain.
3. Who was
Yeah.
Yeah, Rhiannon, Brett,
Oh, and you didn't
and I didn't vote, so there should be 12. You have, does that equal 12?
That equals 12.
Perfect. I'm not voting. Okay, so the motion stands.
Motion passes.
Motion passes, yep. Okay.
What about Calverley?
But I'm still putting it on the agenda next.
Sure. I'm gonna make a motion to move Calverley
Oh, Jesus.
tonight, because it's not right if Whiting doesn't get the opportunity that we're supposed to give.
So you're making a motion to move Caverly to Lothrop for next year. Is there a second?
The pre-K programming
Yeah.
of Caverly.
I'll
Right.
second with a friendly amendment, if that's possible.
Sure.
Which would be that we move the students for the 26, 27 school year, and we allow the administration until September to come up with a plan for the future of the building, either selling it or using it.
No. Well,
We haven't done that with the other.
I think that kind of ruins the whole motion.
Yeah, that brings in a little bit
Yeah, it
more
does.
than what the budget.
I mean, because we're not doing that with Whiting, so why would you do that with Caverly?
I will second it as presented, if I may.
Well, he has the decision to make. Do you accept the amendment that because you already said yes before you heard his amendment? So do you?
Oh, Kevin's?
Yeah. So are you accepting his amendment or are you accepting Gabe's amendment?
Which is no amendment.
No, you can't talk.
You can't, Paul.
Come on, one or the other.
Kids, but allow the administration to decide what to do with the building.
We have to decide what to do with the building, not the administration.
And not now, not tonight.
Right, and not tonight. We're not ready for that.
We did not do that on Whiting,
No.
so I would think it would be out of line.
I'm sorry.
You know that-
For meeting minutes, I need you guys to make a decision.
Yeah, I know. I'd like the same
Trying to
thing.
follow
So,
No, I know.
Yeah, I'm not following it online, by the way.
yeah, I know. It's kind of hard over here too.
We'll talk about it next week. But for right
So you're
now-
not so you're taking back your motion.
No, motion to move Calverley.
OCA.
Just Caverly program to Leicester. Or I mean to Lothrop, sorry. Wrong L. That's it. That's all you're saying.
tonight.
And are you seconding that?
I'm seconding that.
Nothing else beyond that?
No.
Not tonight.
Thank you. And we won't be talking about that anytime soon after that unless it's on the warning. Just so you know.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
We table a lot, so it's okay.
All right. Discussion.
We've already had it.
I think we pretty much did, but just wanted to hear if there was any last minute. What?
Does that include the public, the discussion?
No. Okay, I'm not hearing any, so we're gonna go ahead and vote. For all of those who approve moving the Caverly preschool program from Caverly to Lothrop for next year, please signify by saying aye and put your hands up.
Aye.
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 So just 1, 2, 3. All right. Brett, your hand is down, right? So there's 3 online that said yes. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Okay, all of those that are saying nay? 1, 2, and 3 for Rhiannon?
No.
No, she was already the other one. 2. Those abstaining? Is
Abstaining.
and 2 abstaining. Is that 12?
8, 9, 10, 12. That's
12. Perfect. All right. Motion passes. All right. So going back to that piece, the only thing left was to talk about option 1 or option 3 for Lester, right? Because we haven't actually talked about that.
I move that we take option 1.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Ooh, there was a lot of seconds. Who wants the credit? Kevin White's taking the credit. Okay. All right. Discussion about that.
Can we quickly recap option 1?
Can we repeat option 1?
Sure.
Or see the slide?
Yep.
Yes.
We'll pull it up.
Sorry.
But option 1 is to keep the school current with two multi-age classrooms. And Tina said that would either be a 1-2, a 2-3, and a 5-6. So there'd be a 5-6 definitely, and then either a 1-2 or a 2-3 depending on numbers.
And are we considering the specifics of that?
No, we don't. No, I'm just telling you that that's
It's
what she told
administrative
us
decision, right?
tonight. Right, they make that decision.
It'd be like status quo. We currently
Yeah.
have 2 multi.
Right,
So it'd be,
but they just move.
I would just remove combos of classes.
Yeah.
And what was option 3 again? Just
Option 3 was to
Move the
move the
sixth
6th grade to Neshabie.
okay, thank you.
Okay?
Oops.
We need option 1, yeah.
And this option doesn't carry a financial impact?
No, right now this is already in the budget, just the way it is.
Okay.
Option 3 would carry a financial impact because if you were to move the 6th grade, you could potentially either cut a teacher or you could reassign that teacher to Neshabie where there might be a need for an additional.
A yes vote on option 1 would be keeping the budget status at 2.98 or whatever that.
That is
293, that's right.
293,
Yep.
thank you.
Although you have made it's a little bit of an alteration with the other 2 things that you said yes to tonight.
A little less
But this
than
is
that.
already in the budget. This has
Right,
already been.
yes, this is already in the budget.
Understood, thank you.
Okay.
End of my input.
Yeah. Discussion? Questions?
I already made my statement that I think
No,
that
that's
moving-
fine. I'm just asking.
Moving to
Brett.
6th grade.
Brett, you got your hand up?
Is it fair to say that option 1 is the recommendation of the administration?
I don't know that that's true.
Well, it's true.
It's in our budget.
It's true of the school principal.
Now that we are below the
3%?
3%, we have met your recommendation. When we were still above 3%, in order to meet your recommendation of 3%, we were more in favor of option 3. But because we are now below your recommendation, we feel like we've done what we needed to do, and option 1 can work.
Okay.
So that being said, do we have to take any action?
No. If you don't want to, but I mean, this way you're making the motion that this is what you want.
It's driving along that budgetary planning process to
Yeah.
to
So, I mean, we
solidify
had
these.
3 options. Last week we got rid of option 2 because nobody liked it. And so that leaves these 2 options. Brenda, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'd like the option if you're ready to make this decision because it makes next week or the 20th just that much easier when you have things off the table.
Right. Okay. All right. Any other discussion about option 1? or the motion? Okay. So all of those that agree with taking option 1 for OCA next year, please signify by saying aye and put your hands up.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? That was unanimous.
Did we have unanimous?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we need to go through the same process for option 3, or
No,
this
could you
process
just,
now
there-
negates
that's
option?
done, because now that you've picked an option, you're done. Thank you for that. All right. So, I think those were.
Brenda.
Brenda?
Do you still have your hand up?
Thank you. I did have one other question, just for clarity. You voted to move the children from Whiting to OCA for preschool. Did not talk about whether you would like me to bring a proposal to include into the budget that we rent with ARK for another year or not. So I'd just like some clarity on what you would like to do with that.
Is that a vote or just a discussion? A recommendation?
I think it's just a recommendation to them. I think she should find out if they're willing to do that, and if
Yeah.
they are, we
Yeah.
go with it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
But that's up to you guys. Are you okay with that?
I agree with that, yes.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Was there any other questions regarding the budget that we needed to talk about?
Or what about the high school teacher?
Thank you. So that is the administration's decision to make. How that works at the high school, I think that I believe I said at the last board meeting that I was hoping Michael and Renee would be able to get together to discuss what any other options that might be out there. But again, that is just unfortunately, I feel that that's an administration piece. And again, I will also say that when we approve a budget, either next week or the week after, we are only approving a number, and so if something were to change, that position could still be saved. Yes?
Yeah, and so, I can give a final report out on it next week.
Next week, okay.
That's
So that's a
good.
next week discussion.
I feel like because it's been in our board meeting material, not that we have to vote on it,
Yep.
but I would just like the administration to consider how that looks like. One of the biggest things the public cries for is those kid-facing positions, it's just gonna be a tough sell, I guess. You're gonna get a lot of pushback on that just by no votes, I feel like.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that next week after they've had their discussion powwow. Okay? Because I don't think they've
To
been.
clarify, can you clarify why that position was cut from the budget?
The high school was told that they needed to cut 2 positions. They cut one date based on attrition, and then the other one was based on a list that was given. So
There was a expectation of 40 fewer students enrolling, or as part of the enrollment for next year at Otter Valley. And so that translates to about 2 FTE. So we asked that 2 FTE be cut as a result. And so one of them was because we had somebody retiring, that one was easy. Then we used a list provided by the principal to go to the next step.
Yep. So
So yeah, next week, I would appreciate the reasoning for that.
Okay.
Okay.
So now that we're at the 2.93 though, can you say, okay, it's gonna be 2.94? And we
It-
don't have to deal with the pushback of that.
It would be more like 3 point, 2 or something like that. Because 1% on the budget, it was what, the 200?
$72,000.
Yeah.
$102,000. No.
No,
That was the
cost of the teacher.
175 is 1 cent,
$290,000
290.
was 1%. So,
Right.
So that's almost
It would
like
be a half a
third.
percent.
Yeah, it'd be about 0.5% on the
It
budget.
would be at 3%.
We'd be back at like
Yeah,
3.4.
3.25 or
Yeah, we'd be like at 3.3, 3.4. If you brought the teacher back in, because currently that is not in the budget. Okay?
I just like for next week, can we just know the reasoning beyond a number
Sure, yes.
from the administration?
Yep.
And I guess just my leaving point is like, I'm not real comfortable with the idea of cutting my child's social studies teacher. Like that rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, Lauren.
Also, maybe we can take into consideration of teachers that will potentially retire in the next couple years, and kind of think like maybe we can talk about those positions. I know it'll be a future budget, but still, I'm sure there's teachers that are going to be retiring in the next couple years.
We might also need to be cutting those positions though too.
Right.
As
but
we get.
attrition
Right.
instead of riffing.
Right, but I guess my point is that at that point you might need to be cutting 3 positions and you're only losing 2 teachers.
We
You
continue
see what
to
I'm
lose
saying?
40 students.
So all
a
you're
year.
doing is kicking the can down the road.
One of the things that we don't know and that we're still waiting on from the state is the class size expectations.
Right.
From Act 73, what those are going to be, because that could have a direct influence on what the expectations are, what, the number of students need to be enrolled in a class, meaning some classes may have to get bigger.
And I believe there's some requirement from the union as to which seniority-wise employees can be cut.
Well, that is why,
There's
that's
a-
why you
there's a-
heard from Mr. Pointer last week, or last month, because based on the contract, he is the one that.
Yeah, and so there's.
Right, so that's a contract
There's
issue.
guardrails that we can't necessarily.
That's right.
That we bounce off of when we try to do something, so it would become.
That is correct.
Someone would have to leave, and then programmatically, that would get shifted to, wouldn't necessarily lose that course, potentially. I'm just
No,
mentioning.
you're just gonna
this
have to
broad.
you're gonna have
You're
to
gonna
reallocate your
reallocate
staff.
your other staff, more senior staff, to fill that void, or that void goes away. So there's kind of layers.
Can we talk about if we had to let a teacher go before the end of their contract? Maybe next week.
I don't
Because I really, because I really hate the idea of letting a person go who's so loved, and knowing that there are other teachers in the system that maybe it's time for them to move on. And I know we don't want to hear that.
We can't discuss.
No, we can't discuss that stuff. Well, we'll talk about it.
Talk about contracts in general. I don't mean about a person.
Oh.
So I'm trying to figure out what you're asking. A discussion about seniority?
I think she's asking that if there was someone who wasn't necessarily quote unquote doing their job,
okay,
how would that person
performance?
Yeah, be let go.
I really
after their first 2 years.
But she started it by saying the dearly loved teacher, which I think sort of guides. It's sort of. I don't know that that's an appropriate statement to make necessarily.
That's generalizing.
And then transition to.
My point is,
broader.
performance matters. Performance matters.
So, okay.
I agree.
Now we're
And
delving into the business of the superintendent.
Yeah. So.
Well, Natalie, the union will take the position that everybody employed in the school as a teacher is performing at least adequately, if
I
not extremely
totally
well.
agree, and that's why I want to know, from the legal standpoint, if we were to breach a contract, what does that mean?
I don't know that we breach contract, but we will not probably be talking about it next week. We would probably bring it back at a different time, not during budget. Mr. Ruppel, do you have something to say?
I have a question so that I can provide, so that you have the right information next week to make any decisions. Natalie indicated that she wanted information from the administration about why that reduction was made. I'm sort of trying to clarify whether you are looking for information on why there was a decision made to reduce 2 positions at Otter Valley, or why the particular positions that were reduced were chosen.
I think it's
Which
the
of
latter.
those do you want, or both?
Well, I think they're looking for the latter. But
The latter.
Okay.
Well, we can, even though we know who the teacher is, we're still supposed to be talking globally, not.
Yeah, but we're not.
And I am talking
We are.
globally. This is
Right?
the-
No, you absolutely are. You absolutely are. It's just, you absolutely are. Brett, is there another question about the budget? Because otherwise, I'm moving us on.
Well, I just had a question, I guess, on seniority. I assume it's by program, right? Like by discipline. So math teachers are in one bucket and
Yes.
English teachers are in
Yes,
another.
it's all based on contracts and seniority and yes.
Cues.
Okay.
Class types.
Brenda.
I just wanted to tell you that one of the first documents we will give you in this conversation is the actual master agreement. And if you are interested, you are welcome to review it online already. It talks about both supervision and evaluation, as well as reduction in force and how those decisions are made.
Thank you.
Okay, so it is 8:12.
Where's that located? Can you tell us where that's located?
It's on the rnesu.org website. You can find it under
Human resources.
Yes.
Human resources documents. Oh, I think we moved it someplace easier to find too.
I'll have Melinda send it to everybody tomorrow. Out to everybody. So it is 8:13. We are 13 minutes past our original end date. I would entertain a motion to extend our meeting until 8:30, and then at that time we might have to extend again. But can I have someone make that motion?
I move we extend to 8:30.
Barbara, second.
I'm sorry, Barbara made the motion, right?
Yep. Is there a second?
I'll second
Thank you,
it.
Braden.
Thank you, Braden.
Fernanda is seconding. All of those that agree?
Hi.
I agree.
I know, we don't want to be here. I get that, but
We all
all
want to be
those-
here.
I know. All those that oppose, say nay.
Denied.
Okay, so let's finish this up. All right, annual district warning, article consideration. I'm going to move that to next week. That's the non-binding vote. The board's report for annual district report. We talked about that last time. I still haven't written it. I will. I know. Final findings and recommendation report from the Commissioner of Future of Public Education.
It's in the
Click the link.
superintendent announcements.
Right.
Click the link.
So read his superintendent report. Board member recruitment. I have heard from Rhiannon that she has already got her signatures and all her petition in.
Yay.
If you are up for election, I need to know if you are running or not running. So please let me know, because I do have people asking. And some people don't want to run against people, and others.
Suddenly we're the hottest.
Yep, exactly.
in town.
So I do
Nice.
need to know.
And all 13 of us are here again? Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Community linkage. There was a library talk at McClure Library on Monday. There was one today at the Brandon Free Public Library.
Tomorrow.
Oh, sorry. I keep thinking words today. Today's Wednesday.
It might be
That is
Wednesday
tomorrow.
now.
You're right. I know, almost. And then there is one at Whiting on Thursday, January 15th in the morning from 8 to 9:30. We do have future outreach. Once we have a budget approved, we'll think about reaching out to Bone Builders, Senior Center, Select Boards, so that we can explain our budget to them.
Transfer stations and
Right.
pallet companies.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we'll do that too. Advocacy, Rural Career Connected Collaborative.
So I'm really excited, but I can only talk a little bit about it. So Otter Valley was just accepted into a cohort of schools from around the country where we are going to be able to build our career, kind of our career pathways, kind of our career-centered learning for all of our school, for our school. The goal is to invite teacher and community and student and administrator voice to help us build what we want it to look like in the future. It is a 15-month journey that an organization known as Transcend Education is going to work with us in order and facilitate that for us. They'll come on site. We'll do things virtually. We'll have a team here within the school. It actually will start this month. We should be getting the press release and all the packet from them, and as soon as we're able to announce it as widely as possible, you'll see it all over the place. So, but this is something that I think is going to consolidate a lot of the conversations that we've been having about what should we be doing for our students in relation to college and career. It won't just be us within the school district talking. The goal is to make sure that our businesses, our parents, our colleges, everybody else can come in and have a say along the way. So as you can tell, I'm very excited about it.
That's awesome.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, any other questions for Renee on that? Okay. Review, monitor, and report compliance for superintendent performance. We're gonna do that next time. RNESU board update. Barbara and Kevin chime in, but we approved our budget back in December, which you guys saw, down to 4.18%. We still can't pass a library policy to get to you. We'll keep trying, and that was about it, right?
Debbie, can you talk a little bit about the shrinkage from 10 to 3 in that one particular segment of?
Oh, in the
in the RNSU budget.
It was the
Coaches, I think.
The curriculum, your
it was your curriculum group that you had 10 people in that during COVID, and now you are down to 3 people.
Right, we had 5, and then we had 5 without a pre-K coordinator. When once that became a requirement, we had to hire a pre-K coordinator. So the 5 did not include a pre-K coordinator. Then we had 10, which did include the pre-K coordinator, and we're down now to 3. So it's myself, the pre-K coordinator, and an admin assistant that we have to fill the position.
Okay, the reason I raise that is because we've been hearing a lot, including tonight, about too many administrators, too many people in central office, and I just want to make that point that I think it was bloated, and I think Paul was right when he thinks we misspent money during COVID, but that money's gone. Those decisions have been made. Previous administration did those things, I think badly, but it's done. We've corrected that bloating, for lack of a better word. So when people say that there's no oversight on the RNESU board, that we don't care about how many people are running around in the central office and so forth and so on, the answer to that is no. We do pay attention, we do care, we're trying to make reasonable decisions. And I just want that narrative out there as well. Thank you.
So what Kevin and Debbie are talking about is this slide that we presented in the RNESU to go that prior to COVID, there were 5 total positions within the curriculum office. During COVID, it was up to 10. Now, going into next year, we will be at 3 FTE. So when the discussion occurs that there's a lot of people at central office, since fiscal year 23, 7 positions have been cut just in the curriculum office.
Okay.
4 of them were while I was there.
Right.
Why isn't the library issue being passed? Isn't that?
So we need to have 4 people of 6, like we do here. We have to have 7 of 13 board members to pass anything to actually pass, so that we can move it on. Last couple of meetings, we've only had 5 members, and we've only been able to get 3 people to approve, and we need that 4th person. So hopefully we'll be.
I thought it was just regulation that was.
It is.
modeled.
It is regulation, and but there's some big
So
feelings around
Are we
it.
out of compliance?
You bet your booty we are.
Oh,
So, but we're working on it. We'll get there. Other business. So just so that before anybody throws us out, you want to hear about contracts and breaching contracts and things like that at a later date. I'm also going to put on the agenda for next week all of the things we passed tonight, just to cover ourselves, so that if people want to come and talk about it, they can. Is there any other business that we need to think about? Hearing none. Superintendent's announcements.
We've covered a lot of the things that are in the announcements. Two things. One, please make sure that you read the information about the graduation plan requirements. That too will affect staffing in the next few years. So the State Board of Education will likely vote on it either this month or next month. Then the other thing is at the, I don't know, somewhere underneath all that text, there's information about we were able to provide 300 meals, not 150 meals a week, but 300 meals a week on the Mondays over break, including that really bad ice day where we had a lot of people come and pick up meals. So I'm really proud that we were able, that the RNESU board gave us the permission to spend that money. I'm really thankful that we had the anonymous donor give us 2/3 of the money to cover the costs. And glad, and I'm hopefully those meals were able to make a difference in the lives of our kids. So very thankful that we were able to pull that off.
Did all the meals go? Nothing was donated to the food.
Some was donated to Pittsford. And
Brenda, we had a lot of milk donated to Pittsford. Is that correct?
Yeah, we donated some milk. I think there might be 10 meals or something left that we'll bring down and donate at some point.
And those are meal boxes. Each of the boxes had 14 meals in it.
lunch and dinner, breakfast and lunch. Okay. All right. So, anybody who is thinking about running for a candidate seat for this coming March, if you are a new member or new candidate thinking about running, we are having an info session here on Tuesday next week at 5 p.m. in the library, followed by our 6 o'clock special meeting here in the library regarding the budget. So, as of that, I would take a motion to adjourn at 8:23.
So moved.
Barbara, second. Lauren, and you can, your yes vote can be you leaving.
I